That's right. As some of you might know, I've been really into painting a lot of Battletech, despite not playing a single game. I should really get around to that. But since the time I bought the Armored Combat Starter Set, I've picked up a lot of other lances. Trying to cover kind of all the main houses, at least, like an interpretation of them. This is my entire collection of battle mechs so far, so today we gotta add some more. This is my first set of clan mechs, Clan Heavy Striker Star. I picked them up from a really new local game store in the area that actually shares my channel name, Madhouse Games, Madhouse, something like that. Something with a Madhouse, it's not a happy house. But these are 5 clan mechs. I couldn't tell you what they are. I'm sure I'll write it down and remember at some point. But man, clan mechs are weird. Do you like clan mechs? I don't know if I love clan mechs. When you compare them to the Scout Steiner Lance that I have, I don't know, there's something chunkier about, Inner Sphere mechs. But I've always enjoyed this first company like Steiner Lance that I built. This is my house Curita. I went with like more of a desert scheme to keep like the red kind of separate, a little bit different. I really like them. This is, I think, my house Davion. I don't know where I got the scheme from, but I did make this one up. But I think it kind of fits the, fits the army. And if you remember from my first Battletech video, these are my Capellans. I'm weirdly a big fan of the Capellan Confederation. I think it's just the paint scheme. The green mechs look awesome. I love these models. But today we gotta paint some clanners. We gotta paint some dirty, weird clanners with their weird words and their weird color schemes. So we gotta paint a weird Battletech color scheme. And today I'm gonna turn these gray miniatures into some insane yellow miniatures. What am I doing? I'm doing the you-made Caliphate. I have no idea. I don't even know if they're clanners or not. I don't care. But this is kind of the scheme I took inspiration from for this video. I wanted to do something crazy, so today we're going to paint some crazy Battletech camo. Now, I went into this scheme with literally no plan, so you're going to kind of have to go along the ride with me. Go along the journey as I figure out how to paint some bright-ass yellow mechs. We definitely need to do some underpainting to kind of create our shadows, because when you're working with yellows, you kind of want to build up from something a lot darker. So the key is to kind of build up from like from an orange, honestly, because orange has a little better coverage. Really, you could even build up from brown, but over this gray zenithal, we should be okay. I kind of punched up that zenithal with just some white, just in case any of this shines through later. It probably won't, but it's not bad to get some detail and get the ridges like out now, especially we're going to use really thin colors. Dry brushing is, gosh, I love dry brushing. It makes everything just like look good, you know what I mean? It makes everything like, you can see the details, you know what the heck you're doing. You're not starting from just boring gray. The move here is I put down that like underpainting of white, and now we can just literally go over it with the yellow. The yellow is going to cover white so much better than it would have done gray. Yellow over gray kind of turns green, but we have that white like overbrush underneath everything, and you just slap the yellow on top, and honestly, you're good. That's a good yellow base now, but we got to punch it up. Came back with a super vibrant cyber yellow from Green Stuff World. This is a great yellow. The coverage is pretty solid, but especially when you build it up like this, it's second to none in terms of yellow. But I kind of want these to be dingy. Not that they're like grody mechs, but like that underpainting of grays and shadows is really going to do a lot in the contrast department. And then I mixed that with a little bit of white to almost make a canary kind of yellow, and did the lightest dry brush just to, catch the edges, bring that detail back. But yellow, again, if you want to paint yellow easily, literally just like slap chop some white and then paint yellow on top. It'll be perfect. And then I just did like a soft tone just to get like a really good yellow base. Kind of get, the details to make the recesses warmer, so the recesses, they're not gray, they're kind of like a warmer gray. I don't know. It was important. And again, I was just kind of winging it, so you're going to have to deal with whatever I came up with. I promise it works out in the end. So that's kind of our underpainting done. You let that bad boy dry for a little while, and you're going to end up with some really nice yellow tones. And after the wash dries, I mean, we're in the clear. We've all used washes before. They're basically good paint and juice in a bottle. I mean, you paint something a color, you slap some washes on it, and it's done, right? So now we're gonna go into a few details. We're gonna do gray for all of like the understructure of the mech. I like doing that for Battletech because it's a little more military than doing metal under the mech. So we're gonna do like the guns and the undercarriage, and then a couple of bits and pieces of bright colors, just like willy-nilly in like a camo pattern. And that really brought this bad boy to life. It made it not just yellow. I'm Chris. I'm on a bridge. Could you like and subscribe? Thank you. Man, look at that dark, dingy, weird looking mech. We went from a really bright, vibrant yellow, and we kind of lost some of that. So next thing we're going to do is just do really chunky highlights, a lot of layering back up. Almost doing base coats, but like thin base coats, and trying to like avoid just the recesses. These are a lot of flat panels, so your wash probably dried a little, not imperfectly, but a little like, you might have had some tide marks. You want to avoid those, but regardless, we're literally just going back over everything with yellow. And again, because yellow's thin, really punches everything up without going over and losing that shading. This is like unnecessary if you like the dingier mech. I just, I'm making a video out of this. It's got to look a little nicer. And then Chris's favorite, that's my favorite. I love edge highlighting. All you got to do is mix your base coat in with like an off-white or a tan, some sort of sand type color, and just hit the edges. These are honestly, on Battle Mech, sometimes I go chunky with the highlights. I don't really care. They don't need to be perfect. You're going to do a lot of them because a Battle Mech is basically like made out of geometric shapes almost. If you wanted to like design your own Battletech mech, you literally take some squares and trapezoids, a couple of parallelograms, and like a gun shape, and throw it all together. And then edge highlight the crap out of it. That's what we're doing here. Now obviously you do that same method with our 3 base colors. The underpainting, the red, the blue, and the purple, and you literally just mix it with a nice beige or a tan or a bone. Any kind of those colors make great highlighting fodder. And I'm not doing anything special here. You've seen a million people edge highlight, but I haven't done like a more generic painting video in a hot minute. And I actually have a couple coming down the pipe. So if you like generic painting videos and you like me yelling over them, you're in the right place. As always, this is just a gradual process. You do like a large, I'm almost again doing base coats over it, but leaving the recesses with the color as is. And then you slowly mix in your off-white or your tan, and you build up some actual highlight colors. With the camo, I decided to do like a solid line of like a really, really bright color between the different blocks of color. And I think that added a lot because it really separated the camo from the rest of it. So it didn't, behave like camo. Is this the best paint job I've ever done? Probably not. Is it a fun paint job that I think you should try and just go insanely ham on bright colors on a battle mech? Of course you should. Pick 3 almost annoyingly bright colors and just slap them all together. That's what I say. That makes a good mech. I did take some dark speed paint to add even more contrast. Just in the recesses, you could do a whole session of just panel lining and recess shading. I decided to do it out of focus so that none of you could see what I was doing on camera, but that's okay. Panel lining adds a lot. You could, skip some of these wash steps and just panel line, and you'd probably get a brighter, more vibrant mech, and then a little more solid contrast. You can get that cartoony look, but I'm going dingy, crusty, grimy yellow. It also doesn't hurt to use that thinned, do a little, couple of pin washes, couple of small washes here and there. And then for the cockpits, I don't jewel the cockpits. I know that's the move in Battletech. No, I take a really, really, really tiny brush and I just slap some really vibrant metallic in there. Now, looking back, I'd probably redo this because I don't think it looked super great when I was done on these, but from table distance, it's fine. Which is really what you're painting for anyway, right? It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't look too hard. You're looking at the yellow. You're not looking at the silver anyway. It's fine. Now, longtime viewers of the channel will know how I base things. It's not very hard. It's just some baking soda, some sand, some glue, and some paint. Nothing insane. I'm sure you've seen this from other channels. I actually did finally bite the bullet and buy some proper texture paint, just because I'm tired of mixing this up. I honestly felt like I was wasting little shot glasses, and that was justification enough for me to buy the premix stuff. Because I don't know, save the environment, I guess. I don't know. I just was tired of mixing the little shot glasses, and I'm sure I could have found a better method, but I don't care. The premix stuff is better than my cheap stuff anyway. It does dry very nicely. You kind of got to leave it overnight, which is the most annoying thing. But once you leave it overnight, you're left with this kind of weird crusty thing, and then I just paint over it in a really, really basic way. If you watch my original Battletech video, you'll see a better version of this to get some tiny little plants and shit in there. Actually, no, you should watch my video on Steel Rift mechs, because those Steel Rift bases, possibly some of the best basing I've ever done. Really original, really fun. This is just dirt that a giant robot's walking through. I do have plans to use these mechs in a couple of games, so I kind of left the scale a little more vague than Battletech wants. I'm thinking of using them in Rain and Iron. You could use them again in Steel Rift if you want. I might even use them in a game I'm working on. I might even just let Moxie play with them, and I never even get to touch them. Thanks, Moxie. Get out of here. Go. Thank you. And then to sell the scale if you really want, really tiny clumps of foliage work, though really tiny clumps of foliage, I guess, also kind of work, on other scales. I decided to go with, just dirt base. I don't know how to, just like Dirt World, right? Mud World, actually. Where Kremlo lives. Praise Kremlo. He came from space. Anyway, I made Mud World, some little shrubs, little pieces of foliage, just to break up the base. Nothing you've never seen someone in the world do before when painting miniatures, but these are mine and I love them, and that makes them, that means you should love them too. Everything got a nice thick wash again, just to, tie the shrubs in, kind of add some color variation on top. After that dried, it was time to add a little bit of weathering to the mechs. I don't often, I go 50-50 on weathering battle mechs. Again, check out that Steel Rift video if you want a really good detail of how I weather things. Also, my punk rock tank video actually is pretty good on how I weather stuff. You just take a couple of browns and a sponge and a couple of silvers and a sponge, and you do some sponging, and then you sponge the sponging. Yellow is a fabulous color to do sponging on, especially like weathering and dark, because it just, the contrast adds so much. And I don't know how clan mechs work in the world of Battletech, but these guys, I imagine, have just been deployed for a hot minute because they're pretty far from home, and they are a little worse for wear. And then this is the thing I do on all of my miniatures. Like every miniature, I don't care what it is, they all get a dusty foot. Just stab them with a dry brush of like really light sandy brown on the bottom. It adds like a nice gradient to the feet, gives you a nice little like, it's just, trust me, just do it. The little dusty feet adds so much, and every model I think I've painted this year has had dusty feet. Again, punk rock tank video, actually, that's the best one for how I weather. And after the ceremonial base rimming, we love base rimming here, I was left with this. And if you got to the end of the video, as always, thank you so much for watching. I've been Chris. I like to paint things. I don't know. I keep not saying that at the beginning of the video. That's okay. You don't care about that. You care about battle mechs. You care about Battletech miniatures on top of that. These are not the best battle mechs I've ever painted, but I love them. I thought they were very cool, and I painted them on camera, so I had to share them. If you like these, you know, do the liking and the commenting and the subscribing. Or just let me know if you like the color yellow. Or what's your favorite Battletech house? Actually, that's a way more interesting conversation. Mine, I've said it before, I'm a dirty Capellan. I like space communism, apparently. I don't know. But I also like these yellow guys. I got a couple more mechs to paint in the future, I think. If there's a house you want to see me paint, take a stab at, hit me like with a unit color compendium page, and I got you. I got you. That could be fun. Let's do that. All right, regardless, I've been Chris. I like to paint things. These are a couple of battle mechs. Check out all the links below. Check out whatever the heck you want. Or don't do any of that and just, like, have a great day, okay? Take it easy.